Good afternoon, and welcome back to our Chamber South Member Spotlight with our partners at Miami Community Newspapers. My name is Brittnie Bassant, and I'm the Executive Director for Chamber South. And today I have with me Mr. Richard Kenny with University of Miami. Richie.
Yes.
Richie. Okay,
Richie.
So we're going to go by Richie for the rest of the interview. Richie, it's such a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, so I always start off by getting to know you a little bit. So tell me a little bit about you. Tell me about your previous experience, your career, your background, and how you ended up doing what you are doing at UM.
Sure. So that's a long story, but we'll shorten it up. I grew up in Boston, Massachusetts, and went to UMass Amherst for undergrad, and worked for Marriott Hotels for a while I was up there. Came down to Florida State for grad school. Spent some time in Knoxville, Tennessee, and then had the pleasure to come down here about 8 years ago.
Okay, so you worked your way down.
I did, yes. It eventually getting warmer, right. and away from snow and enjoying this Miami weather. So 8 years here now. I am the Director of Conference Services for the University of Miami. So hospitality and events are my background. Love that. Love working with the students and my staff and bringing in some very unique opportunities.
Okay, so hospitality and Director of Conference Services. So elaborate a little bit on that, because like you hear the word conference and you're like, I'm not going to be doing a conference anytime soon, but you have multiple opportunities.
Yes, exactly. So that could be anything from a breakfast to a luncheon to a round table, a board meeting, or even what we're doing here today. So we can help plan and manage any type of event that you have that you want to put on.
Interesting. And for as little as apparently 2 people to as large as?
Let's see, our largest venue holds about 6,500 individuals. So we can host up to 6,500.
What's your largest venue at the university?
The Watsco Center.
The Watsco Center. And that's, I'm guessing that's where everyone has their graduation ceremony. It's probably the most famous for that.
Exactly. Except for this year, we were up at Hard Rock thanks to COVID.
Okay.
But normally that is where commencement happens, and a lot of the local high schools have their commencements there. So our team at the Watsco does a great job putting those on.
That's incredible. Okay, so talk to me a little bit more about these events that you can host at the University of Miami, and we've already discussed a little bit about the size numbers, as small as 2 people.
Yes.
But what do those look like? What opportunities are there?
Yeah, so we actually have some brand new facilities on campus. One is a auditorium that has stadium type seating. That's nice, comfortable chairs like the ones we're in right now, where you can host keynote speakers, a TED Talk. So if South Miami ever wanted to do a TEDx event, we could host something like that.
Built-in stage and AV and everything's perfect.
Built-in stage, AV included, microphones, state-of-the-art projection. We can even get into some crazy things where if you want to bring in a whole sound system and really run up lights and do all sorts of custom AV, we can do that too.
And speaking about the custom AV and speaking about these state-of-the-art equipment that you have, and we're going to talk about obviously COVID and the pandemic and how that's affected your industry over the past 12 months and what you predict for the future. But one thing that's really changed is the virtual events and having, so there's a lot of hybrid happening, right? As we transition back to normal, there is a lot of hybrid happening with, all right, some people are going to want to Zoom in. Some people want to be there in person. Maybe we Zoom in some speakers. So tell me about your ability to handle that, because if I'm a small business and I'm like, I want to do this, but I don't know how. I don't have the resources. I don't have the equipment. I don't have the know-it-all to be able to do it. Can your team step in?
That's the beauty of it. Yes, our team can handle all of that, from what we would consider a basic Zoom meeting, of bringing in individuals that are in person and on Zoom, all the way up to thousands of people watching a webinar or a virtual-based event, just kind of like what we're doing here, where this is a virtual event where you and I are together having an interview.
Right.
But most people are going to watch it online as we go through. And so we can run programs like that. We can run events like that. And that hybrid feature is actually where I think the industry is going to head, in that the majority of events are going to have some hybrid component to appease the people that want to be in person and the people that maybe can't travel anymore or aren't comfortable just yet. And so having that hybrid ability is definitely in our wheelhouse.
And when we talk about some of the opportunities and kind of add-ons, if you will, not even add-ons, because when I think about UM and I think about your event space, I think of you as being an all-inclusive.
Exactly.
Right. So I rent the room, and the room comes with the AV, and then you have the catering, which is an additional charge, but it's all connected by the same organization, so it's very seamless. With these add-ons, how does that look in terms of a pricing structure, or how is it all included, or?
Yeah, so in our venues, we provide everything, and we call it a one-stop shop. So we provide you all-in-one service from the first time we meet and have that conversation of what you want to do and what it is you want to achieve, all the way through the end of your event and helping you survey your guests to see what went well, what you might want to change, and how to get you to run it again next year. So we are with you from start to finish, every step of the way, helping you with your meals. I love to eat, so I'm going to be there for that tasting if it's going to be a meal. But no, I am at every event that we host and help everybody through every step of the way. And my team is the same. We really have a culture of making it work in any way that we can. We have a little saying that if it's not illegal, immoral, or unethical, we're going to find a way to make it happen.
I love it. I love it. So it's more than just an event space rental. It's a full on, planning agency, concierge, helping you every single step of the way. And that's huge, because I don't think that there are a lot of, when you think of the event industry and you think of the event business, right? You think of more special events in terms of galas and weddings and anniversary parties, and it's more celebratory, but there is a specific need, especially for businesses, for business events and networkers and informational events, like you mentioned, some sort of like TED Talk-esque event. There's a need for that. And I don't really think that there's locations that are so well equipped to handle that need.
And if there are, they're usually pretty pricey.
So let's talk about that a little bit. You're affordable.
Yeah, we are definitely affordable. Our spaces, depending on your setup and your need, we include the furniture. We include the standard linens.
The centerpieces.
Yes. So all of these things, we work with you and we help you build this amazing event that will make it look like you spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, but it's going to fit your budget for what you need. And especially here in South Miami and Southern Dade, we have hotels that can help you do that, but not everybody has a hotel budget. Or if you're doing a local event, you don't need overnight rooms. And so with our event spaces, we have that flexibility to help you out and get you exactly what you want within your budget.
That's incredible. That's absolutely amazing. And for those of you that are familiar with Chamber South, we've hosted quite a few events at University of Miami, so we can attest to the professionalism and the amazing service. Just outstanding. Your team is amazing.
Well, thank you.
We love it. We absolutely love it. So let's talk a little bit about COVID. Obviously, as the director of conference services and working in hospitality and events, you've been greatly impacted over the past 12 months. So what's that impact look like? And what steps are you taking both now, currently, to make people feel comfortable and welcome back? But then also, and I ask this a lot, what lasting changes has the past 12 months left on your specific industry and the way that you guys handle this moving forward at UM?
Yeah. Well, that's a great question, because, being at the university, we have lots of public health ambassadors. We have lots of public health officials. Obviously, we have UHealth attached to us. And so right from the jump, we were able to know what was happening almost live time with our researchers and our medical division helping us, feeding information to the university. So we knew pretty early on what the COVID measures were going to be for the institution. Obviously, last March, after spring break, we had sent all the students home, kind of went virtual at that point, and we had stopped hosting events on campus until we could figure out a safe protocol. Now that we have that safe protocol, which is about 6 foot distance between guests and participants, wearing masks inside if you're not vaccinated, and campus still you have to wear a mask. But we have our daily symptom checker that we complete Guests would complete that as well. We have the plastic shields, and our meals are prepackaged so that everyone has their ability to feel comfortable, and we can still accomplish what we need to. So moving forward, what we're thinking of doing is looking at each guest and each event as its own kind of plan within our framework, because everyone's going to have their own individual comfort level within COVID. Obviously, we're not going to go to packed ballrooms with banquet dinners where
with buffets, self-serve buffets.
Yeah.
Good gosh, I don't know if we're ever going to see the return of a self-serve buffet.
I just hope for a self-serve ice cream bar to come back, but I don't know if that's going to be anytime soon.
Oh my God, and the chocolate fountains. Like, I'm just thinking about all of these things. Richie and I can talk all day about food, but let's talk about events.
Yes, I don't think the chocolate fountain will be back anytime soon. Yes. Maybe individual chocolate fountains in little cups so we could pour over.
Oh,
right? Something interesting.
See, and it's not illegal, immoral, or unethical to have an individual chocolate fountain. So we're going to make it happen.
Exactly. Okay. So instead of sitting everyone at a banquet round, where at a 6-foot round, maybe you got 10 people, and if you were really stretching it back in the day, you'd fit 12. Now, I think we're going to pull that back to, at full capacity, probably about 8 people.
Okay.
To give people that elbow room,
right,
and that breathing room, because if anything else, COVID has shown us we don't need to be packed together anymore. We don't need to be the sardines in the can at an event. And especially if it's a fancy dinner or a gala, you're already wearing that tuxedo or that ball gown. You need some room. You
need some wiggle room.
Yes. So we're going to work with each group to figure out within our capacities what will work for them. So even if we go back to full capacity, it doesn't mean that we're going to force you into a larger space or a smaller space to make your event happen. We're going to right size it. We're going to put you into the right space so that you have the ability to dictate, again, within university guidelines, what you want that to be. So right now we're at about 50% capacity for our events. And so using that banquet round as the example, instead of having 8 people at the table, we're having 4. And so that means we have to use some larger spaces to account for that size and that difference. But overall, you can take your mask off, you can put it next to your plate. You don't have to worry about somebody grabbing your mask in place, and all of a sudden now you have some contamination.
Right.
So that's what we're looking at right now. And then obviously we're looking at the data, we're looking at vaccine status and what the county's doing in terms of COVID rates, and hopefully those keep decreasing as they have been over the last week, 2 weeks. Vaccination rates keep going up. So we'll have hopefully some very robust and large events back in the fall.
That's great. So a couple of things to take away from this that I really appreciate, especially as someone that plans a lot of events, and I have to plan a lot of networking events, and it's hard sometimes to stay up to date with all of the moving targets and all of the changing measures. So what's great is that your team will advise and handle, make sure that your organization is within protocol and following the rules and regulations while still, having a successful event and having something that's enjoyable for the attendees. So that's huge.
Exactly.
And that's, I think, another big plus of, again, that all-inclusive concept that we're talking about here with, booking an event space with University of Miami. In terms of lasting changes, I know you said that we're not going to be packed into sardines anymore. And that's great because, there have been some times where if you're in this room or in this ballroom and you're at this event, you can't move around. It's tough. It's challenging. And we're talking, you have space for hundreds of people.
Yes.
So what are some other lasting changes that you think is not necessarily University of Miami, we can start there, but just the hospitality industry and the event industry in general?
Yeah, I think, we touched upon it a little bit. The hybrid event is here to stay. And if the venues aren't adapting their audiovisual to meet the needs of hybrid events, that's going to come to the detriment of the venue. Folks are going to ask for the ability to have a Zoom showing, even if it's a trade show. Having some sort of virtual component for vendors that maybe can't get there, or individuals that want to attend the trade show that just, like we said, aren't comfortable coming back yet.
Yeah.
And so that virtual component is going to be there, a hybrid component. But I think also what this has also done is sped up technology in terms of events. and what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, we're having basically a virtual event here.
Yeah.
And adding different components like closed captioning for individuals that are maybe hard of hearing. You used to have to hire an American Sign Language interpreter for events. Well, now with Zoom, you can have live transcription right on there.
Absolutely.
And so one, that's a cost savings, but two, it's helping advance ADA needs and individuals with disabilities as well.
And I think that's really interesting because you talked about, technology has now sped up over the past 12 months in terms, right now, what we are doing, this has been a result, thank you again to our partners at Miami Community Newspapers for this opportunity. But this came about during the height of the pandemic as a way to be able to safely but successfully reach a large audience and to promote our local community, promote our small businesses, promote our community pillars and partners. So you're right, technology has sped up, but I think it's also encouraged our community and our population to speed up with it. I think the adaptation to, when you look at how widespread and easily accepted these virtual platforms have become, I would have never, ever thought that we were going to be doing, galas and fundraising events,
and
all
Zoom
virtual,
weddings.
and Zoom weddings. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But not only is it happening, it's everyone's adapted to it and we're all evolving and changing together. And I think that's huge because it has taken something that would have probably taken much longer and condensed it to a shorter period of time.
Exactly. And if you're not comfortable using that type of equipment, it's important to have somebody there that can help you. So if you're a small business and you're running your own show, much like you had said you are, we have the tools to help you. You don't have to do it alone. And even if you just want to call us and ask us a question,
right,
we could do that. We can answer that. And that's what being a community member is all about.
Call and brainstorm like,
exactly.
Hey, Richie, I want to do X, Y, and Z. And do we think that this is feasible? And what is that going to look like? And what am I going to need? And can you do it?
Exactly.
And that's huge. And that's great for, I think, the community to know that resource is available to you.
And it doesn't even have to be, at the end of the day, using our space. If you decide, we're going to go with a different venue or we're going to host it in our office, that's awesome. The point is to bring these events back, get them going again, and really bring back our economy, our industry for our county and for our communities.
Yeah, we're all about, again, promoting our community, local economic growth and development, supporting our community, making sure that we bounce back and that we even come back maybe a little bit stronger and better than we were before. And that's huge. That is extremely huge. This has been amazing because I think this is definitely a resource that a lot of our small businesses need, that a lot of our organizations in the community need. Just event space, whether it's just a simple meeting, whether it's a board meeting, whether it's a retreat, whether it's a team building session, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Like you can even do special events. Like if I wanted to host a gala or to do a more like a award ceremony or something more upscale, you have all of those opportunities.
And I'm glad you said team building too, because we have a rock climbing wall on campus now too that just opened a couple months ago.
Gosh.
So we have the ability to, and trained individuals that know it's safe, obviously. And we have individuals that can help lead team development sessions using a rock wall.
That's incredible.
And in Miami, you're not finding mountains to scale. So let's use the rock wall there to help develop.
So it sounds like the sky's the limit on what you can do at the University of Miami in terms of, University of Miami, we think of UM, we think of course, first and foremost, education, higher education. And then I think a lot of people think University of Miami sports. Yes. But now we want you to think University of Miami event space. For whatever it is that you're looking for, if you can dream it, they can probably do it as long as it's not illegal, immoral, or unethical. And there's opportunities there and it's available. So I really do hope if you guys are looking for that event space or you need that opportunity, please reach out to Richie. All of his contact information will be listed. But unless there's any final words or wrap up from you.
No, looking forward to seeing everyone again at the next chamber event when we can host everything in person again. And again, if anybody needs anything, do call us, do reach out. We're always happy to help.
Yes, they're definitely ready and willing to be as inventive or as creative as you need to be for your event. So thank you again, Richie, for coming on. And we want you to thank University of Miami Higher Education, Sports, but also Event Space. So that's going to wrap it up for us today at our Chamber South Member Spotlight. Be sure to tune in every Thursday afternoon for our series. Once again, thank you to our partners at Miami Community Newspapers, and Richie and the University of Miami. Thank you.
Thank you.